Okay, so here's a video of my 15 millimeter German early war army. Something out of maybe Guns of August, 1914. It can be used, I think, for the Eastern Front or the Western Front. All the figures are Peter Pig, right out of the World War I range. You can see some of the French I was building but never finished on the side. So maybe Western Front too. Again, these are all Peter Pig figures, which I absolutely love. I love Peter Pig figures. Every range I love. I just think they're tremendous. You see the artillery right out there, and some of the infantry. I built these some time ago, and I was thinking when I looked at them again that maybe I hate rebasing, but I don't know how much I like the 4 figures per base for these. This is how at the time I was like, well, I want to have, a bigger type of battle in it to look like a lot of figures, but I'm thinking maybe 3 on one of these bases. But for now, I'm keeping it. Actually, when I took them out, I was thinking again, they do look kind of cool. There's the commander, or the command section. And again, the artillery, some of the figures, the Peter Pig casualties. For rules, I've never, I don't play that many games because, I have little kids, and, I know that there are some clubs around here, but don't really have time on the weekend to go and play. So I more or less kind of build the armies and base them how I like. But I was looking at some rules, specifically. I grabbed this some time ago, or I'm sorry, recently, The Men Who Would Be Kings. And I know this is set for colonial rules, but I was thinking, and actually it was a suggestion from the YouTube channel, so thank you for, someone suggested it for the Franco-Prussians. I was like, maybe I can use it for World War I with some tweaks. There's some stuff online about big battles and then multi-based figures. The thing I like about it, just reading through it right now, is it's quick. It looks like it's easy to play. I don't have to spend hours and hours trying to figure out the rules, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something fast, something quick, something where I can throw, when I have a few hours, I can throw an army and play a solo game. And there are also rules in there, the Men Who Would Be Kings. There's rules in there for solo play. So I won't do a whole review of the rules. I know people online have great reviews, this stuff, but so far they look like something that would intrigue me. So maybe for World War I, some early World War I with some adjustments. So again, so let me get some close-ups here. They're the beautiful casualty figures. The infantry bases. And then the Men Who Would Be King requires commanders for each squad. So, throw that guy, these guys in as commanders. These could be bases for figures, people pinned or in suppression. And the army commanders. So I don't know. There again, here's some of this beautiful artillery. Again, I know I washed these, used the wash, but my painting as usual, I did okay. But, these are really nice. You see here some of the cows, or is that, oh, sorry, sheep, and some just civilians. So I'm interested in early World War I. I always kind of have been. Again, I did some studying on the Eastern Front when I was in school, World War I, specifically the Russians and the Germans, and then the Russian Civil War. So I really built these with the thought of the Eastern Front. But then reading the Guns of August again, at some point I decided, maybe the Western Front, and specifically with some of the early battles against the French. I would throw some British in there, but I really wanted French versus Germans. So there they are. Give another shot of the command base. And I kind of put that together the best I could. Peter Pig make a lot of cool figures. If you look close, you can see I don't have any buildings or anything here. I don't have any 15 millimeter terrain, I realized. I have 10 millimeter, which I can use for these guys. And then I have 6 millimeter and 3 millimeter. So I don't really have 15 millimeter. I had, but it's in storage right now. And, you know, I have such limited space that I have no place to put, you know, big 15 millimeter terrain. Actually, if anyone does know of good 15 millimeter terrain for the eastern or western front, that especially if it could come pre-painted, it's not going to cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I would love some of that stuff. I know I love the 10 millimeter when it comes pre-painted. I could just base it and it's ready to go. So there we go. Again, I hope it was of some interest. The Peter Pig World War I Germans. And let me know also, I mean, the Men Who Would Be King, it doesn't really matter the basing. But I mean, should I stick to 3 per base? Going forward, if I build these guys out, or I build the Russians, or go back to the French, should I stick to 3 to a base, or at 4? You know, how do you think they look? Anyway, thanks again, and I hope it was of interest.